Hello and welcome to this brand new episode of A Coffee with Chris. As always, brought to you in association with Big C, who help local people affected by cancer, and proudly sponsored by Hill Coaching Company, here to help you become a better version of yourself today. Don't forget, people, there's a big event coming up here in the fine city. It's called Reputation Matters, the no-nonsense advice on how to enhance your business brand. I'm delighted to be teaming up with Naked Marketing and also Plain Speaking PR to cut to the chase, shall we say. It's going to be a brilliant event. Make sure you hit me up with your request for tickets, and I'll make sure that you are in the door for that one. Now, let's get stuck into this conversation today. I am beyond excited to get this man on. He is probably the busiest man I know. He's probably the busiest man that most people know. His name is Nathan Lomax. He's recently won the European Rising Star Award. He is a winner in all respects, and his agency, Quickfire Digital, are a Shopify Plus agency for scale-hungry brands, and also winners of the European E-commerce Agency of the Year. Nathan, welcome to A Coffee with Chris. Let's kick it off with the question: what does e-commerce, social media excellence mean to you?
Well, firstly, thank you, Chris, and great to join you today. I think for me, e-commerce excellence when it comes to social is just about taking the client on the journey. Okay, and I look at examples and I see what 𝗖𝗵𝗁𝗶𝘀, I don't know if you're familiar with Grace, but she's done something amazing with Tala, which is essentially the user or the customer feels like they're invested in the brand. Okay, so they're tuning into lives, they're sharing, they've become like unofficial ambassadors. And to me, it's when a brand can really unite the social journey versus the online D2C journey. So how do we make those two feel seamless and feel part of the same thing? So are we aligning brand values? Are we aligning tone of voice? Are we aligning messaging? Are we aligning any offers or promotions or product sales or whatever it is? How do the two feel like they're working in unison? And I feel like there are more and more brands doing this fantastically well, but there are still so many brands that are treating the channels in isolation. And if I added a third channel, which is offline and bricks and mortar stores, etc., how do you as a business unite your social strategy, your online strategy, and your offline strategy to create this kind of single thread that runs through? And we talk a lot about omni-channel and how does that help a brand, and I think that's going to be the flavor. And you see this coming out of Shopify, right? Harley and the team at Shopify are constantly talking about commerce everywhere and omni-channel commerce and how we can create relevant and consistent experiences no matter what platform you're on. And to me, that is a sign of e-commerce excellence. I think if I look at some other examples, Thomas, I think it's called Hal Robson-Kanu or Thomas Robson-Kanu, used to play for Wales, right? Like awesome guy. He's actually not only had an amazing football career, he's gone on to create a fantastic business, the Turmeric & Co. And look at what they've done with tools like VideoWise and there's Live Me Up and there's other great tools around that kind of UGC, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit later. And if you took this still in an e-commerce mode, but you said actually tech side in e-commerce, there's a guy called Hamish from Order Editing. And what he's doing is he's building his business in public. And I think more and more customers are buying into the authenticity of actually, I want to see the highs, I want to see the lows, I want to see everything about it. And so if we take it back to what is e-commerce excellence in the world of social, it's those that are giving you a peek behind the curtain and making you feel like, wow, I'm absolutely invested in this brand. I know what's going on. I know what's coming up. I feel like I'm part of it. And that's the big thing, is how do you collect that emotion that I feel like I am invested in this brand?
Wow. I mean, what an opener, Nathan. I could hit stop record now, and that would be so much value. But I'll be selfish and grab you for much longer. Totally with you on all of that. It's a great definition of what e-com social media excellence looks like. I think the key word there is unite, isn't it? And making sure everything is joined up and on the same hymn sheet. And that might sound 101. That might sound quite generic standard advice. But so many businesses are still getting it wrong, or they're very good at one thing and then they sort of dabble in the other, which is often my world of organic social media. So it's a great way to kick it off. Just with regards to social, Nathan, I mean, you've worked now, some of the businesses and brands that you've worked with, at Quickfire Digital have been so impressive, and I'm really intrigued to hear your take on what they've done when it comes to social, because they've come to Quickfire, they've smashed their world of Shopify with you guys, they've started to make so much more money, etc., etc. Then how have they then activated social? I'm really quite keen to understand the why from you on that. Why should e-com brands actually do social media effectively?
I think the thing is there's two parts to a digital strategy. There's traffic and there's conversion. Okay, so my world is all about conversion. So I'm like, how can I make this store sweat as hard as possible? So how can I improve conversion rate? How can I improve average order value? How can I improve repeat purchase rate? All that good stuff. But it is pointless unless we're driving traffic. And traffic is when you're looking at SEO, or you're looking at Google ads, or you're looking at paid social or organic social.
Yeah.
And so I think more and more of our brands are seeing, actually, yes, we're going to invest in this D2C store. Yes, we're going to invest in our growth, but we can't do one without the other. So yes, we've got to focus on conversion, but we also need traffic, and quality traffic, and the right traffic. I think some of the brands I've seen have tried to do this without having a single thread or strategy. And if I think of some of the brands that have done it well, there's a great company in the US called 𝗖𝗵𝗄𝗃 that have anti-snoring devices, which are just awesome, right? And then there's another brand that you and I work on together called Cannons. And if you look at those two examples, what they do is they hire specialists rather than someone that's going to try and do it all. And they sit us all down in a room or a town hall or whatever, and they say, here is the overarching business strategy. Okay, this is where we're trying to get to as a business. And you guys are all players in this orchestra or in this football team, and you all have definitive objectives that we want you to achieve. But actually, what we're not going to do is we're going to lump all our money into web and hope that it works. We're going to lump all our money into social, but we're not going to focus on where we're driving them to. We're going to allocate portions or pockets and say, okay, this bit here has these objectives, and it's going to be run by this agency or this consultant, this freelancer, etc. And this thread here is going to be done by this person. And then we as a business are going to sit across the top and manage and report and make sure that essentially these objectives are being hit. And by doing that, you're able to hold each party's feet to the fire to say, Chris, you're doing a fabulous job here with the social, really happy, blah, blah, blah. Nate, see you over here with the Shopify. We're aiming for 2.7% conversion rate. We're currently at 2.5. What do you think we can do to help us get there? And then it might be, actually, I need to speak to Chris because the traffic that's coming through, I have a question, or where's he driving them to? Or he's driving them to the homepage rather than a landing page, etc. There's so much to it, but I think the ones that do it best, if I could share anything with everyone today, is they are making sure that the different parties are all sharing the same vision and direction, and they're all able to chat to each other. The brand doesn't need to be involved in every conversation, but the ability for me to pick up the phone with you, if you look at Cannons and say, Chris, what campaigns have you got coming up? Where are you driving traffic to? Nathan, I'm going to be driving to this collection page or this product page or this competition page. And I go, okay, if that's the case, I need to adjust my strategy to make sure that that is fit to purpose when we're ready to go.
I'm totally with you, Nathan. I'm so pleased that you mentioned Cannons UK as such a fantastic, well-established, really successful local business flying the flag for all of their various flooring, etc. Fantastic, doing it right, going to specialists. And I'm pleased that you brought that up. I think some people aren't doing it because they're maybe, dare I say, a little bit lazy. They only want to speak to one person. And actually, it can be so much more effective if you bring everyone together in a town hall. I like that. Nathan, linking it back again to be selfish, to lift the lid of Quickfire Digital. I'm really quite keen to know from you guys, how are the best in the business in the world of e-com? How are they doing this well? Like, what examples have you got? What stories can you tell that people can maybe cite as reference points with regards to their e-commerce and social unification, if that's a word?
Yeah, so whenever I think about this, I think about one brand in particular, and I'll come to them. But actually, the first thing starts with the cultural and attitudinal behavior to have the humility to realize that you don't know everything. Okay, so where are you looking to see where the movement is going? And if you look out in China at the moment, and you look at social commerce, you look at TikTok, you look at WeChat, and you look what they're doing out there, and particularly live streaming and social commerce, it is going absolutely ballistic, and it doesn't show any sign of slowing. So firstly, whatever brand it is, they need to be keeping an eye on trends, what's going on, what the latest thing is, and how can we adopt that. Someone 3-4 years ago might not have even considered TikTok in their social mix. Now I think it would be a crying shame if it wasn't even in the conversation. So for me, that's the first bit. Secondly, I think if you look at someone like Blakely Clothing, another great Norfolk business, and you see what Gareth and Andy and all the team have done there, what they're doing really well is they're talking about community, they're building and harnessing a community online, but then they're cultivating it and they're bringing it to reality offline. And I think that to me is where you look at Best in Business and Tala do the same. So, okay, let's talk about something here and then let's organize a run club, or let's organize something over here that's going to take these people in this online virtual community and let's bring it into the real world. And we'll continue to promote product and push product, etc. But actually, the purpose is shifted to empowering those within the community. Naturally, then they become brand ambassadors. Naturally, then they're buying more product, referring to friends, etc., etc. Those to me are doing it really well. The trick to all of that is brand partnership, and that's where I see a lot of businesses missing a trick. Is if you look at Blakely and what they've done with Jordan Hipperson and what he's done with his gym, etc., etc., perfect. What you're seeing is like, okay, we've got a brand here. Blakely could have absolutely gone and set up gyms and gone down that route, etc. But once again, they've laser focused on, no, we've got this apparel space and this is what we're doing, and we'll do community, but we'll bolt in and tie in and collaborate with someone that's got the audience and the gyms, and we'll go at it together. Now that to me is gold dust. And if you're looking at best in business or best in class or who to emulate, I would do that. And another example would be Fourth Glade. So Fourth Glade are a pet food brand. They do a lot around user generated content, around social, around community, around charity, etc., etc. Now they're looking to partner with people and go, okay, these guys over here, 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗄𝗵, another fabulous brand, they're doing pajamas. But actually, they're potentially looking at another vertical, which might be dog-related product. And you go, okay, how can these two work closely together? Now, what Fourth Grade haven't done is gone, okay, let's go and explore. We're brilliant at dog food. Let's not go and start creating dog merchandise or neckerchiefs or dog pajamas or whatever. Let's just stay at what we're absolutely fantastic at, and let's create a strong brand partnership with someone that can do that bit and unite audiences. And so if you're going to take anything from today, it's rather than trying to do everything, how can you say we're excellent at this and we want to tap into this space, therefore we're going to do a brand collaboration in order to do that. And I think the other example would be a company called Beer 52. If you look at what they do with community, and when you open a box of Beer 52, and we talk a lot about unboxing experience, you will see the personalized inserts and the inserts in there. And there's companies like Penny Black that help you do that, and there's Paper Planes, and there's others. But if you open the box, you're like, oh, actually, there's an offer for a gin subscription or a wine subscription, etc. Now, the gin distillery hasn't gone, Christ, we're going to start doing beer. What they've gone is, let's partner with beer company to tap into that audience. And I think that is the absolute holy grail for when you're looking to expand audience, is how can you leverage other audiences rather than spending time and money diversifying your core audience by saying we're going to start doing all new products and services, etc.
Boom. Collaborative, everything, collaborations in general, even what we're doing now, Nathan, right? Let's not beat around the bush. We're sharing audiences here, right? That's the power of collaboration. So many brands are doing it. So pleased that you mentioned Blakely, a fantastic local brand. Of course, I'm now completely biased because they sponsor my beloved Norwich City Football Club. So big up to those guys for that. And something that you've touched upon there, Nathan, the community piece, and of course that's built with user-generated content, which I know is something that you're really passionate about. Reeve Social Media, we're hugely passionate about harnessing, growing, strategizing, and then utilizing that user-generated content in order to see an increase in sales. Why are you so passionate about user-generated content from an e-com, especially from a site perspective, Nathan? I'm sure that there's lots that you can get out of it, right?
Yeah, if you look at tools like Live Me Up or VideoWise in the Shopify ecosystem, or Yotpo and what they're doing with UGC, there's some great tools out there. But if we take it back to basics, like users operate in a herd mentality, right? No matter what people say, the general public operates in a herd mentality. When you go and book a holiday, you probably check TripAdvisor, you see what everyone else said before you book it. When you order something on a menu, you might look around the restaurant and go, what else is everyone else having? Oh, that ribs looks nice, I'm going to have that, etc. So we're always looking to other people to get a steer of what we're looking to do. And I think actually more and more people are doing that when they're looking to buy products. Now, if you go and buy a sofa, it's amazing. And now I'm so deep in the world of ecom, you see it more and more. So many people are buying clothing or home furnishings or something like that, not even for the product, but for everything around it. And that's why we talk about lifestyle imagery, etc. Right? And you look at
Mm,
it and you go, oh, that coffee looks amazing. But what looks amazing is the person drinking that coffee. And you think, oh my God, could I be that person? That person could be me. I like them. I like their look. I like how they come across, etc. Oh, but
mm,
if they drink it, I'm going to drink it. And you see that a lot in health and fitness, right? And you see that with supplements and stuff like that. And they're like, well, blimey, if that's what it does, that's what we're going to have. And so this user generated content is so important. That's where you see influencer marketing and stuff like that really kicking off, where you've got an engaged audience, and said leader or influencer of said audience goes, oh, I'm going to recommend this product. And we had a fabulous lady work for us called Liv. Liv worked for us. I want to say Liv, she got married, and I want to say Humby, but that might be her old name. But anyway, she was fabulous. And she has gone on to create her own Instagram kind of audience and is doing fantastic stuff there. And again, she wears something, buys something, suggests something, and her audience see that and go, I like Liv. I like what Liv stands for. I like what she's doing. I'm going to buy said product. Yeah. And that's just how it works. So the more we can get
mm.
people that have authority in our space, and relevance is the big thing here. Okay. The amount of people that I go, oh, we tried influencer. Oh, we got this person. They had hundreds of thousands of followers. And actually, I'm seeing these micro niches and micro influencers having just as much impact sometimes as the massive ones, because they cost an absolute fortune sometimes. You go, you know what? Someone with 20,000 really engaged followers versus someone with
Yes.
200,000 that actually aren't that relevant. And actually, the influencer is particularly focused on said product, and not today talking about this and tomorrow talking about this and the next day something else. Like, they're genuinely looking after their audience. I think it's so powerful. And then how do we get that experience to say, okay, show that on the site, show people that have then bought on the site. So we've got some kind of reels. If you look at Sculpted by Amy as an amazing example of what they're doing with TikTok, look at their
Yeah.
homepage, see how they're incorporating UGC through TikTok. It's really impressive.
Mm,
And then also look at Tom Jewelry. Now, Tom Jewelry, lady called Lucy, really inspirational founder. She's fantastic. I think she's doing some great stuff on socials, but that's someone I say there's a slight gap in terms of how can we get her, and Lucy won't mind me saying it, and I'll happily say it to her, how can we get her to incorporate more UGC on the site? Because she's doing a fabulous job on socials, and now we just need to knit the two together. But there's a couple of examples there. Marley Cosmetics, another one. Again, you're like, oh, okay, I want to look at the site. I see this nail polish, but looking at a nail polish like Miley and seeing it on someone is totally different. But of course, when you see it on someone, you're not just looking at the color, you're looking at the hand, you're looking at the setting around it, you're looking at everything and going, oh my days, I want to be like that person. Therefore, I'm going to wear yellow nail polish. So to me, that's what I think is really important with user generated content
yeah.
and social proof. We work in a herd mentality. People want to follow something. Make sure you're utilizing influencers to really get the most out of your UGC.
Nathan, that's fine, my man. There's a few things that I've jotted down whilst you were talking there to come back to you on. Actually, love your influencer warning there, actually, which is that it's not all about mass and quantity. It is about quality. And again, I think people are starting to understand that. But specifically, your piece of gold there, Nathan, was to work with a micro influencer that's really niched up, because then that is where your sales will increase. That's where conversion will increase. That's a good one. I also love the fact that you've spoken about lifestyle imagery. You and I, and I'm sure again, Robert from Cannons won't mind me disclosing this, that they are wanting to move away from the classic white background, photoshopped on to, product post. It's a little bit, not maybe lifeless is a bit strong, but it could really be brought to life by including lifestyle imagery and then using that brand, Nathan, as well. You'll be surprised. On Cannons UK is a prime example. Cambridge Kayaks is a brand that I work with. They're an example. You'll be surprised if you are a brand director, if you're a marketing manager listening to this right now. Ask your audience for the pictures and videos of the products that they've bought from you, right? run a competition, incentivize it, get a bunch of it together, and you will be amazed at the level and also quality of content that you'll get. And then you can then incorporate it, like you've said, Nathan, and feature that on the website to increase trust. So I think that's just absolutely brilliant. So my point on that, Nathan, I'm sure you'll agree, is actually it doesn't necessarily have to be influencers. Just ask your existing audience to share their products and see what they get. And Nathan, I love to make these podcasts actionable. I don't want it to be fluffy. And so I would really love you to disclose, if you were to essentially speak to an ecom brand now that was starting from, the start line, ground zero, and you were to offer, what would the starting steps be for that ecom brand regarding uniting with social media and making it a successful relationship between the two?
Okay, so for me, it starts with a mindset that everything is going to be authentic and everything is going to be relatable. And we talked about lifestyle imagery, etc. And the reason lifestyle imagery works so well is because you get relatability, and person sees that and goes, I can relate that to my life, therefore I'm going to buy and engage with that product, etc. I think for me, the biggest thing is this perfection. What's the word? It's like a crippling anxiety to actually go and just pull the trigger and start it. It's like this, you've got to be perfection. It's got to be perfection, and actually it
Nathan,
hasn't got to be perfection.
I say execution over perfection. That's my saying.
There
Execution
you
over
go.
perfection.
Now I get, in terms of brand values, in terms of look and feel, etc., I understand the precious nature of the brand. I totally get that. But at the same time, how many people just delay it and push it and don't start it and don't pull the trigger? And they'll be the first to sit down the pub and say, oh, aren't that brand doing so well? I wish our social was better. Or I wish we were finally on TikTok, etc., etc. But they're not doing anything. It's
Yeah,
like, well,
come on.
if you're gonna, like, you just have to start. And okay, your camera equipment might not be the best. Okay, the lighting might not be perfect. Okay, and you see this with people creating podcasts as well, right? Like, how many people are like, oh, I'd love to run a podcast. Okay, you're gonna go and set one up? No, I'm just waiting for the perfect guest, or I'm waiting for the right lighting, or I'm waiting for the right sound equipment, or whatever. And that can come, right? And you'll look back on your first social post, and you'll look back on your first podcast, or even your first website, or whatever, and you look back and go, "Ha! Can you believe it? Like that is what we had." Of course,
Yeah.
but you've got to start somewhere and then iterate and improve. And too many times for those brands that are at ground zero, you've got this decision
Mm.
paralysis where you're like, I can't do anything. Like, just pull the trigger,
What?
crack on.
Nathan, I really want to interrupt you there, mate. Why are businesses afraid of being agile? Why is that? But like, is social media part of the problem? Is it like a comparison thing? Like, because again, I see lots of successful brands. You can almost see the documentation of the journey from start to where they are today. And it's been because of the fact that they're pulling the trigger, they're executing and not getting worried in this perfection paralysis, as you've coined it. Is that a challenge that you see across the board?
Yeah, I think that personally, social media has a lot to answer for in society today. Okay, and what happens is that people benchmark themselves
Yeah.
on the finished article versus, so you're like, oh my God, isn't it amazing that Cristiano Ronaldo got to 1 million YouTube followers in some stupid amount of
Million,
time?
yeah.
Yeah, right. But actually, if they looked at Cristiano Ronaldo when he was 16, 17, like, everyone has to start somewhere, right? And this is the thing, is you go, oh, I'd love to be an influencer. Look at this lady or man with 500,000 followers. That lady or man once had one follower and had one picture and put themselves out there and didn't worry what they would look like or what
Yeah.
others would think about them, etc. They just started, and most importantly, they remained consistent. And I see this a lot with YouTube channels. People go, I want to create a following or a community or a YouTube channel, etc. I'm going to start it. And they get all excited and they last about 3 videos and then they lose momentum and they stop, right? And actually, then they consistently look at others and go, oh, how comes Mr. Beast has all those followers and has all this traction, right? Because he's relentlessly done it time
Yeah.
and time and time again. And he's got better and better. And not enough people are prepared to be patient and stick with it.
So that's the mindset piece regarding the starting steps, Nathan. Let me lasso you and bring you back on track. Give me the next starting step. So you've spoken about the mindset there. You know, what logical things can they do regarding their site, their social? What tangible things could you provide on that front for business owners to really get stuck into?
I think I would look at, well, ironically, we just talk about benchmarking and not comparing yourself with others, but I would look for inspiration and I would look around and say, well, what does good look like? And I always talk to people, start at the end and work backwards. What does good look like? Okay, on a website, for example, okay, conversion rate, we want to get to 2.5%. Okay, in order to get there, where are we now? We're at 1.4%. Okay, let's now do an audit and see where we are. What are the bits we're doing? What are the bits we're not doing? These are the gaps. And then let's create from strategy comes down into tactics. And you're like, okay, now what are the tactics to help us get there? And it'll be the same with social, right? We're like, okay, what accounts really inspire me? What do they do well? And now what are the small bite-sized things that I need to do? And you talk a lot about like, oh, what's the best way to eat an elephant? And I think it's like a little bit at a time. So you have to kind of break it down and go, okay, for me to be able to get there, I need to post every day as a non-negotiable. I need to get content and I need to do a shoot. And actually, I think most people fall down where they're like, oh, I just don't have the content, etc. But they don't think, well, you could just capture loads of content in a shoot, like, and you could just have a shoot and you could get months worth of content, or you could get it from your customers, or you could do brand partnerships, or you could get a license with Canva. And like everyone wants this, oh, this like super finished. But I was amazed. My other half was showing me Canva the other day. I've never used Canva. I looked at it, and again, I would be like, oh, I got to use Photoshop, blah blah blah. It was really cool. It
That's
did
good.
loads of great stuff. It's like actually like to start with, it's absolutely fine. Like you can create some good stuff. So yeah, to me, it's just like get out of your own way, drop the ego, get posting, and then test and iterate would be my take.
Nathan, I am so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for imparting so much of your wisdom and advice and support. It's invaluable to businesses. And on behalf of myself and other local businesses that you've helped, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you, mate. Where can people find you? How can people connect with you? Where can people do business with Nathan Lomax and Quickfire Digital?
Yeah, very good question. So if you're looking for any support around Shopify, whether it's you just want to chat, you want to find out more, etc., just connect with us on LinkedIn. Nathan Lomax, you should see me on there. Follow the website, quickfiredigital.com. The big thing I would ask you all to take away is don't try and spread yourself too thin. As a founder of a business, as an owner of a business, as a marketing manager, whatever it is, whoever you're listening, like the biggest problem I see is that brands spread themselves too thin and they try and do TikTok and X and Facebook and Instagram and you name it. And it's like, just do what you can and do it well and do it consistently and don't be afraid to outsource it. Right. And if that's working with someone like yourself, Chris, or working with other creatives, etc., like do what you're good at, but don't be afraid to get help in and ask for help. And I dare say people like yourself as well, people can say, look, I'm just struggling for a little bit of direction. I've got a little bit of writer's block. I'm unclear here, etc. Ask for help and others will help,
Yeah.
particularly in this Norfolk community that we operate in. There are some amazing people willing to help, but people don't ask.
Yes, yes, yes. Nathan, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much to everyone for tuning into this episode of A Coffee with Chris. As always, a huge thank you to Big C, a local cancer charity who are helping so many people here in the Norfolk and Waveney region. And of course, a massive thank you to our sponsors, Hill Coaching Company. Don't forget, people, there's a big event coming up in the fine city of Norwich. Reputation matters. If you want some straight shooting marketing advice that's actually going to make a difference to your business in the immediate and short term, not just medium and long term, make sure you attend Reputation Matters on the 13th of September. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of A Coffee with Chris, and I'll see you this time next week for another one.